Growing Still is made on the traditional lands of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We acknowledge them and any other nations who care for the land, acknowledged and unacknowledged, recorded and unrecorded, as the past, present, and future caretakers of this land, traditional territory named Tikaranto, where the trees meet the water, the gathering place. We are youth that have come together and are settled on this land, creating this podcast. We do not support colonial forces that undermine, distort, or erase the vital role of Indigenous people in our world.
Hey, welcome to Growing Still, the show where anonymous youth share their ever-shifting perspectives. I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm your other host, Joanne.
And I'm your other host, Alice.
Now for those unfortunate enough to not have listened in to us before this is Season 1, Episode 4 of Growing Still.
This season, we've been looking at the topic of how adults can talk to youth about mental health.
Tips and tricks from us directly, since talking to us kids can be pretty intimidating.
So far, we have looked at consent and building trust.
Trusting you is my decision. Proving me right is your choice. For both sides, it's good to acknowledge that no one is less of a trustworthy person based on one person's ability to trust them.
This is about learning to build successful interactions with another to create the trust so that when shit gets real, there's a foundation to deal with and rebuild upon.
If you haven't checked out our other previous episodes, you really should.
It's deep, it's poignant.
Spell that last word.
What does it even mean?
It hits you. Hey, you want to know a cool strategy for remembering something?
Sure.
Too bad! This episode is all about strategies to offer someone struggling with their mental health.
So this episode is going to be us offering you strategies on how to offer strategies.
# meta episode.
We were talking about building trust last time and how it's different for every person and not every person will be receptive at first, if ever.
And we touched upon the concept that it's not about them accepting your trust. Yes, you want them to trust you, but it's not for you. Your goal is to support them. And some people find it supportive not to engage.
That's why we want to talk about offering strategies instead of solutions.
The energy behind that being, a solution implies that there is A, a problem, and B, it's solvable.
Mental health is personal by its nature. It's the way people experience their lives, feelings, and when someone's struggling with something, that issue may not be something that they can change or something that the person wants to change. So careful. You don't know a person's relationship with their mental health or experience.
Yeah, I think that in learning about mental health, it's one of those constant things, right? You're never going to be an expert in any part of this. You're never going to be an expert in youth engagement. You're never going to be an expert in mental health advocacy. You're never going to be, so it is a continuum of learning. I think, just using proper language and being aware that you're never an expert.
It's also about listening rather than continuously talking, especially if you're in the position of a service provider. It's really all about listening.
Like active listening.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about supporting them, helping them manage. In the same vein, if someone has depression and they've let you know, it doesn't necessarily mean they want you to do something. Sometimes they just want to let you know as a way of explaining so that you don't ask them how they are.
So this is about strategies, about how to offer strategies, because it's about creating a toolbox of ways to support someone.
Just like how some of our strategies may or may not work for you, the strategies you offer someone may not work.
That's why you want a range. Value individual differences. Don't assume everyone is the same.
These aren't gloves. One size does not fit all.
Even with gloves, to say that, it isn't true.
Before we offer our own suggested strategies, let's think of the precursor to offering support.
Yes, before you just start cramming ideas down someone's throat.
Let me help you!
Yeah, don't do that.
First strategy, ask them.
Some people just need you to listen. You should ask yourself if the person is asking for strategies or ideas or feedback.
And then you should ask the person that. What do you need right now? What do you want?
Sometimes people don't know how to answer that question, and if they're silent or unsure, you can gently offer options.
Not too many options, though. You don't want to overwhelm them.
Even though your ideas may be brilliant.
Which I relate to, because mine are amazing, but that doesn't mean they're amazing for everyone, or people aren't ready.
So just do a few options, like do you want to vent, or do you want to do something to take your mind off of it?
You want to avoid seeming like a fixer or a pusher. You're a supporter.
And you can come up with strategies together and create your own.
But you can totally use ones you've heard of, and sometimes hearing some allow you to make it your own.
For me, it sounds kind of like, I guess, like generic, but like, I guess, like music has been really, really important to me. And like, to the point where I can't even really explain it properly to people. Like, sometimes I'll just try and explain it. I'll go on rants about how much I love music and like how much it's positively affected my life. But it's just like really hard because people, I mean, like, people will be like, well, everybody likes music. I'm like, no, but you don't understand. Like, I don't know if I could like be here right now without music.
What's the most effective resource for mental health for you? Like something that helps with your mental health.
My friends.
Friends?
Yeah, friends, having people who you trust, like talking with them.
Yeah. Like the fact that this podcast exists and we're all sitting around this table having this conversation, I think is like so amazing.
I feel so safe here, like just talking about it, because like with non-judgment space, I don't know, it's like a nice safe space in this little room. I don't know, like I don't like being cramped in. I don't know, but like I don't know, it's just like nice to be cramped in, I guess.
Sorry, I realized what a good resource is. Therapy. That's a good one for me. That helps. Yeah, sorry.
Indigo. I really like Indigo. Is like when I am stressed, I go and sit in Indigo. I grab whatever book. Sometimes there's a Starbucks, so you can like take a book that you didn't even pay for, that's brand new, sniff it and read it, and then put it back.
Sniff it.
I used to sit in Indigo, charge my phone, just sitting there reading books, and this guy kicked me out.
Okay, drum roll, please. It's time for our next segment. Tips, tricks, and strategics for mental wellness.
Nice rhyme.
That wasn't a very good rhyme.
Thanks.
Let's start with our first strategy category.
Rhyme roll. What?
Sorry.
You
should rhyme roll.
Rhyme roll.
Mm.
Let's start with our first strategy category.
Rhyme roll.
This category is great for high-intensity situations, when the main goal is to just lessen the intensity, take a break from whatever's going on.
Sometimes I don't like talking about this because it makes me feel kind of like an 45-year-old woman who loves yoga. But going outside, like, can sometimes just be really nice. Like, I don't really consider myself a nature person, but sometimes I'll just have those days where I'll be outside and I just am like, wow, I really don't want to go back inside. I feel like I need to be out here right now.
We call these distraction strategies.
Taking your mind off things, pressing the pause button.
This can be simple, like going to watch a TV show or movie, like something funny because it makes you feel something different.
It can also be as simple as you changing the subject.
Oh yeah, well, my day's been interesting. I saw 5 dogs. 5 whole dogs. Not that I've ever seen a half dog, but still, 5 dogs. I pet 3. 2 were soft. 1 was very, very soft.
It doesn't have to sound like that.
Wait, what? Wasn't that distracting? I was distracted. Where are the dogs?
You got the picture, though. Distractions help take someone out of the moment. Grabbing nice food, directing their focus elsewhere.
Distractions aren't long-term strategies, though, but short-term goals are just as valid as long-term goals. No one needs to suffer for now in order to be better later.
Why not help prevent current and future suffering?
Which brings us to our next category of strategy.
That rhyme doesn't count.
Self-care!
Encouraging someone to prioritize and treat themselves well is a great way to help support them currently and in the future.
I mean, don't tell someone they're not treating themselves well. This is about reminding and supporting someone that taking care and putting themselves first is important.
It's kind of knowing yourself is really important, and like I think like everyone has their unique coping mechanisms and stuff, and like getting to know like what feels right for you is like so important.
It's more listening than talking and giving your input on why this is the best option.
Sometimes we forget about all the ways we can be kind to ourselves, especially if our mental health can be making us feel the exact opposite.
Going for walks,
Listening to music,
Taking a warm bath,
eating a favorite food,
doing your nails,
watching a cool YouTube video,
reading a good book,
turning off your phone so no one can ask anything of you,
turning on your phone to check out cool apps,
hanging out with pets,
hanging out with your blanket.
exercise.
Self-care strategies are endless, because it's whatever helps someone take care of themselves.
Some people like touching cashmere, and some like jumping out of planes. Both are fantastic if they work for that person.
And out-of-the-box strategies are no less valid or effective as more run-of-the-mill strategies.
Yeah, medication, therapy, and yoga are ones we all often know and hear great stories about, but intense crocheting may work wonders for someone.
Again, not all strategies for all people.
This is about listening and shifting. Sometimes what works one day might not work another. Strategies should be flexible.
The next section of strategies are about reaching out.
These are strategies about directing someone to external or community sources.
You are one person. You're not expected to be the sole resource for someone in their mental health journey, nor should you aspire to be.
Don't put your mental eggs into one basket.
Reaching out for someone can be going to a therapist, a social worker, a mentor, a group, a friend. It can be to talk, to receive counseling, to vent, or to just not be alone. Whatever helps someone feel better.
When you're offering options for someone to reach out, you're not saying to this person, I can't help you, I don't want to help you, I'm not enough for this issue.
What you're hopefully saying is, I value you and you deserve any and all support, on top of what I can provide.
My heart.
Touching, right?
You want someone to not feel like they're a burden and that they deserve to be helped. They can be helped, and you'll be there to find the best strategies for them.
Also, while out-of-the-box solutions are totally valid, so are run-of-the-mill.
Institutions, psychiatrists, and medications have provided significant help. Not that there isn't a history and current problems while navigating these systems, we should definitely be mindful of a person's experience around therapies or places, and respect that they might not be positive.
Like if someone had a terrible time with a psychiatrist and doesn't want to see another psychiatrist, don't tell them you just need to find the right one.
Sure, maybe that person can benefit from a really good psychiatrist, but when they're ready.
For reaching out strategies, a person has to be willing, and pushing or shaming someone for not wanting to reach out to a certain source just makes them feel worse.
Which is the opposite of your intention.
Intention versus impact. You may mean well, but the effect is crummy.
But you won't do that because you're listening to us, or you inherently already know this.
For therapies that involve medication, we just want to take note that medications are often seen as magic pills, the connotation around being medicated as if it's a solution.
They work and they don't work for some people.
Some people find medication works quickly, others take trials, and that depends on what kind of medication they're taking. There are so many different kinds of medication out there.
And then the second thing I was going to say, my mom calls me a lab rat to my doctor, to my psychiatrist. She's like, you're a lab rat to your doctor because she puts you on so many meds. And I'm like, it's not her fault that, like, I need these things to help me. And she's like, well, still, I don't want you going on all these meds. I'm like, they're helping me, though. Like, don't you know that I'm a better person? Like, not saying meds make you a better person, but for me, they make me a better person, and they make me feel happier. Not happier, but, like, they just make me feel better. And she's like, well, I don't think meds are, like, the best choice. Like, I want you to go off meds someday. I'm like, Mom, that's probably never going to happen because, like...
Yeah, it's like some people, it could help people. Like, some people could take medication, they could get better. Then there's other people who are like, you know, I don't want this. This doesn't make me feel well, because I've seen people, and some like experienced it, where like you're on medication, it just makes you feel so weird and you're not yourself. Mm-hmm. Then other people are like, oh no, you're normal. This is how you could fit into society. It's like, how am I fitting into society if I'm on some type of drug?
It's not even that. It's like some of the drugs they give you are like mood stabilizers and all this stuff.
It makes you feel so weird.
And yeah, like it's not the fact that like, okay, maybe some people agree with it, some people don't. I'm one of those people who don't. So y'all can have different opinions on about like, oh, but it does help, or no, it doesn't, just or whatever.
It depends what kind of mental health you're dealing with, though.
And it depends.
That's the big one.
Like what drug you're taking.
No, not even the drug. It's what you're dealing with is the number one priority.
When I first got prescribed medications, for me in particular, I cannot metabolize medications that well. So I got prescribed Prozac, and I dropped down to 90 pounds and had full-blown insomnia and an eating disorder, and it also made me like very suicidal, so I was dealing with all of that. I ended up getting off of that medication and going to CAMH, and they prescribed me Proseq, which is a new drug, and it basically saved my life. And it really helped me. So medication should not be the first resort.
There's always other...
But some people, it really does save lives.
Yeah.
But it should not be, oh, you're depressed, here's some pills. It should not be that.
That's what I was trying to generally target.
Meds are just a part of the journey, you know. You gotta go to therapy.
Yeah,
you gotta
like,
work for it. You gotta get up and
No,
be
it's
motivated.
a war. You can't just sit back and let it go. You have to fight every single second.
Medication's not going to work for everybody, but it can actually like seriously help people. It does save people's lives, and that people who take medication and who, you know, get better that way aren't any less strong than the people who get better without medication.
Having accurate information about medication is essential. Do your best to provide what you know, and if you don't know, offer to find out together.
It's also not a one-stop shop. Medication works well in conjunction with other therapy. With mental health, employing multiple avenues of therapy and care can be effective.
Having your mental eggs hatched in multiple baskets, you may say?
Or you may not say that.
It all depends. If there's anything we want to drive home this episode, when you want to support someone, really cater it to that individual, recognizing that individual needs fluctuate and grow.
So when encouraging someone in ways to show themselves love, remember not to ever doubt a way someone may be showing themselves self-care.
The exception to this is when people cope in ways that bring harm to themselves or others. That's when more complex and in-depth conversations need to happen because the impact of these strategies are negative and may not just be limited to the person.
That topic will be covered in our harm reduction episode.
Remember, each person is the expert of their own life.
And part of supporting someone is helping them realize that and enforce it.
Which brings us to our topic for next episode, follow up and follow through.
Which is all about consistency.
Okay, so mental health is super complex, a lot more than building some bike or even some IKEA desk. The tools to use vary from person to person, and it's constantly changing.
So tune in next time, but for now, remember to comment, share, and subscribe.
If you want to get involved, contact us at growingstillpodcast@gmail.com.
Our inspiring phrase of the now is...
Compliment people. Magnify their strengths, not their weaknesses.
Thanks for listening, and remember, it's okay if you're not where you want to be.
That just means you're growing still.